This week, my best friend, my soul sister, Kasey Rivero, joins me on the show. So she recently got back from her first ever solo trip to Peru. While she was there, she took herself out on dates, she met with local shamans, she made new friends, and she sat with the plant medicine ayahuasca. A few highlights from this episode: how she told her parents that she was going to Peru to take a psychedelic to heal generational karma, the new friends she made along the way, and the tours she did across Southeastern Peru, how ayahuasca taught her huge lessons on loving her human form and also helped her finally cry and release. We talk about the big differences between my ceremony and hers, and most importantly, how she feels she best prepared herself to sit with ayahuasca, as well as how integration's going. What I really hope that you can get out of this episode is to feel inspired to take that solo trip. I want you to listen to the mistakes, the beautiful serendipitous moments that Kasey went through, and for you to know that I think there's a lot of rhetoric out there saying that we're unsafe and we can't go out into this big, beautiful blue world, but we can, and we are safe, and there are people who are there to help. Of course, keep your head on your shoulders, but you absolutely can take that risk, go on that adventure, and fall in love with yourself on the other side of the world.
You are listening to the School of Whispers podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, and this is my space to get real, open, and weird about my life experiences as a psychic, medium, energy healer, and student of Chinese medicine. On the show, I'll be sharing my healing journey and the concepts I've learned along the way, and I'll be having guests on talking about the same sort of thing. I am so happy you're here, and I hope this show leaves you feeling inspired and empowered to learn how to listen to the whispers of your own body and spirit. Let's get into the show.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the show. If you notice, my voice is super raspy. It's a sexy voice. What's cracked? I lost my voice over Christmas, and it is New Year's Eve, and I'm here with my girl, Kasey Rivero, and it's our second podcast together. You are my second returning guest, other than Mana, and I love you, and we're here in North Carolina in this little cabin type of Airbnb, and I honestly don't feel like it's New Year's Eve. Yeah. Like, I feel like this year, I hope season didn't. Like I really hope that this year's done with me, but for some reason I feel like I'm not done with it.
Oh, I don't want this year to be over.
You had such a good year this year.
I did, and I'm so blessed, and I'm so lucky, and I'm so happy to be spending New Year's with you, and we're in beautiful North Carolina. The weather's perfect, and today was a little rainy, but it's nice and cold
and cozy.
And
I'm wondering when we recorded our last interview together, but a lot. It was about a month. I think it was before you decided to do ayahuasca.
Yeah.
I think it was during the beginning of summer or something, but you had a transformational year without these plant medicines, but then in August something hit you like a sack of bricks, and you were like, I'm going to Peru, I'm going alone, I'm gonna go do ayahuasca. And then I had signed up to do plant medicine in December, and she was like, and I want to do that too. You went from 0 to 100. So I would really love to bring you back to that moment where you decided you were going to Peru, and why.
Yeah, I was just reading back on my journal. I love to read back at the end of the year and see what I thought, was a huge deal at the time. And it's so cute. I strongly recommend doing it and just giving so much thanks for how far you've come. But I have this one journal entry from August 9th, and it was, I want a sign. Is it a yes or a no? Like, I've had ayahuasca come into my mind. Am I going to go do it? What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And just saw black snakes, saw just every, of course the phone listens, but every ad was for an ayahuasca retreat. Just there were so many signs. It was giant flashing lights in front of my face constantly. And so I was gonna sign up for this one retreat that I was so excited about, and it was 10 days, and I think it was like 5 ceremonies or something. And they talked about isolation, and so I finally am like, I should probably ask them what they mean by that. And it was 10 days of like zero contact with anybody. Like, you do like your
pure dieta.
Yeah, you do your ceremonies and then you go into isolation. And I was talking to Steph about it, and she's like, well, honestly, like waking up and then looking over to see your roommate is awake and you could sit on the side of the bed and just like talk about what happened. She said that was her favorite part. So I was like, okay, I guess I need to look for another retreat center. And then I send her this one, and I'm like, I found it. This is the one. And she's like, Kasey, that's the one I went to. So I was like, okay, cool.
Perfect.
I trust it. So it was nice to like go at that with me finding it instead of her being like, hey, go do this one.
Yeah, I did my best to try to
you did a really good job.
Yeah, but not push.
Yeah.
But I was so happy you decided to do it. And like, I mean, something that I find so inspiring, and I think others will too, is that you, within a month, planned a whole trip. Wait, was it a month?
Yeah.
A whole trip to a different country with nobody that you knew meeting you there, nobody that you knew flying with you there, like a complete solo trip. How was that as an experience? And that, before we dive into ayahuasca, like, I want to know about that, because that's a journey in itself.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it much. And, the only person that would have been by my side during that would have been you. And it just, it was a month away. So, and you did it, and you're not called to do ayahuasca. So I was like, okay, big girl panties on. And I went and did it by myself. Yeah, it's really funny. In my journal as well, I wrote, for one of my goals is like to take myself out to a nice dinner. And yeah, I just took myself to another country, had some nice dinners with myself, and just so proud. It didn't hit me until I was literally on my way to the airport. That day, I flew out at like, my flight left at like 1 a.m, and my dad was dropping me off like super late, and just my parents were so excited. All my clients that I train were so excited, and I was just like so overwhelmed. It was crazy to watch the medicine like start working like so long before actually sitting with her. That whole entire trip from before leaving, the people, the love that I felt from my friends that actually cared, and just, I felt so much love from all of you guys, and it just was, so nice. And my parents were so supportive. They were supportive from the beginning. I was like, I want to go do some psychedelics, and they're like, okay.
I was just gonna ask, how did you explain it? Like, is that how you explained it to them?
Well, I was like, have you ever seen in that show where everybody's puking? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I think I'm going to go do that. And they're
What
like,
show?
On Netflix, there's documentaries, The Goop Lab. I think The Goop Lab. It's definitely in like a few documentaries.
Oh.
So one of my big things that I wanted to sit with ayahuasca for was dealing with generational karma. And so explaining this to my mother, who I did a lot of healing for me and her. She didn't understand it as that. She was like, great, my daughter's going to Peru to do psychedelics to unlearn everything that I taught her. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is at all. So it took her a while to understand that. But afterwards, she was all excited. And now they're just so for it. And I think I'm going to sit with ayahuasca with my dad one time, and he wants to do it. My mom... I explained to her how doing ayahuascas for me and her, and 7 generations in front of me and 7 generations behind me. So she's like, okay, I'll let you do that stuff and I'll just heal through you. I'm like, thanks.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, thanks.
If only.
Yeah, right?
Fucking A.
And so them dropping me off, I was overwhelmed with love from them. I've always felt so much love from my parents, but them being so supportive, because I talk about it with people and they're like, well, who are you going with? I'm like, alone. And they're just like, what do your parents think? I'm like, my parents are so about it. They're just so excited for me. So that was a really good feeling. So then...
Should I let him in and just keep the door open?
Yeah.
Sorry. Kasey's son, the French bulldog named Willie, wants to get in.
So yeah, I leave, and it's when my dad and brother are dropping me off. It hit me, and I start shaking. I was just like, what am I about to go do? And like nervous about the time difference, and if I had them confused with any of my ride situations, because my first day there was 24 hours of just nonstop, and I don't speak Spanish. I am Spanish, I should, but I don't speak Span. So that was very difficult. And
I wonder if you can hear Willie chowing in the background.
Literally hasn't touched his food in days, and now
now all of a sudden he's starving. I'm going to eat it.
My little brat.
So something he's so loud. Something that you did right when you got to Peru is you hopped on a train and you went to Machu Picchu. And while you were there in that whole springs area, you spent the night there, correct?
Twice. Yeah, 2 nights.
You spent 2 nights there. All right, let's wait for Willie to fucking finish. All right, so you spent 2 nights over. So is it a city, Machu Picchu?
Aguascalientes is the city that
Hot Springs.
Machu Picchu is in.
But I want to skip ahead to when you were at the springs alone. And
Oh
the shaman
my
approached
God.
you. Yeah, because that's, I feel like that contributes to the whole ayahuasca experience that you had.
That was so I am about to leave. I had like all my bags with me, and I needed to burn a few hours, so I Googled what to do, and there's actually hot springs in the town of Hot Springs. And so I enjoyed the hot springs for a little bit, and then I went upstairs, and there was this bar. And I'm sitting there and I had a drink. This man who I thought was a waiter came up and I was like, oh, I'm done. Like, I'm going to be leaving. And he's looking at me like, I'm not your fucking waiter. And he's like, have you been up to the waterfall? And I said, no, I didn't know there was one. And he said, well, go upstairs. Like, go up on the side. There's some stairs and then you just keep walking and you'll see the waterfall. And I was like, okay, well, I have all these bags and blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, leave them here. And I was just like, okay. My passport, my wallet, everything left behind.
Side note, don't do that. Don't do that, kids. Kasey's just lucky, okay?
And I'm walking away from all my stuff. Well, I got a few nuts out to give an offering to Pachamama, and I brought some of my new figures and crystals that they gave me, and I didn't think to bring my wallet or anything valuable. So as I'm walking away, I'm just like, oh my God, I just left this little Peruvian man with all of my belongings. And so I go up, I'm looking at the waterfall, and then I just hear, you're safe. You're so safe. It was absolutely beautiful.
And you heard that from your guides,
yes.
Not from the man.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Oh, listening to the water and the colors and just the feeling of Peru is unexplainable. So I gave an offering. I blessed my new figures, and it was just so special, so beautiful. And I go back down, and he's talking with somebody else. I found my bag. I was super relieved. On my walk down, I was just like, oh my God, he definitely took all my things. I don't know. And so I get back and my bag is there, and he was talking to somebody else, so I waved from afar and I was like, mouth thank you, because I was so thankful he told me to go check that out. And he got up mid-conversation with her and came over to talk to me. He's like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, okay. And then I'm thinking, I don't have money to give this man. Does he want something? I don't know. So he's like, you have angels all around you. And that's something that I hear often from a spiritual lady that I go and see. And I do feel them a lot. And so he was like, you have angels all around you. He's like, you are so watched over. You're so protected. And one of the things that my Machu Picchu tour guide said was, he was like, you need to go get the Peruvian cross and wear it because it's a very powerful protection. And so I'm walking around and I'm looking at all the crosses, and I didn't like any of them. And I was just like, they look, they're kind of cheesy looking. And this man at the hot springs tells me to hold my hand out, and I do. And he puts this beautiful, beautiful cross, Peruvian cross in my hands. And I start tearing up, and I was just like, oh my God, if I saw this is the one I would have gotten.
And you're wearing it right now.
Yeah. Oh my God. I haven't taken it off since. And so we did a prayer over it, and we just hugged, and his hug was just, oh my God, the most like empowering, safety. It was just so beautiful. And so we get to talking, and it turns out I was reading this one book about Peru, about this man that was in Peru, and my dog, Willie, you are so silly.
Menace, William.
And he was in the tribe. He was in the same tribe as the tribe in the book. Kiro.
Quero? Oh,
Kiro.
Oh,
Yeah,
Quechua
Quechua's language, yeah. And I was like, no way. So I get out my book and I'm showing him, and he's just like, oh my God, you get it, blah, blah, blah. And it was just the most magical, magical, magical connection. Of course, later throughout the trip, anytime I would tell the story or he'd come to my mind, he'd message me on WhatsApp and be like, thinking about you, like sending you love, blah, blah, blah. He told me how to set an altar.
So after that point, you went back to Cusco, and you met up with some people, part of your ayahuasca group, who became hardcore soul friends.
Yeah.
And you had this whole whirlwind adventure.
Yeah. Somebody in the group had sent an email to our group email and said, hey, me and my buddy are landing tonight. If anybody wants to meet up for dinner, we're going here. And I was like, okay, it's been 4 days. And I was like, I'm kind of tired of eating by myself and not being able to talk to anybody. So I went, and oh my God, sitting down with them, I was just like, holy shit. Immediately talking about everything and anything. Just the connection was immediate and genuine and so easy. And yeah, they're like, what are you doing tomorrow? None of us had plans. I had been a little bummed because there were so many things on my list. I didn't look at the locations of any of them. So I was like, how the fuck am I going to get there? So they were like, oh, well, let us check with our hotel. We could probably get a driver. Next morning, got up early, got a driver, literally crossed every single location off of the list of places that I wanted to go, and then some. And we just had the most special day ever. Had another beautiful dinner, and then we went over to Etnicas.
Yeah, so Q in ayahuasca. So it wasn't 3 nights in a row, right?
It was 2 nights in a row, a break, and then the third ceremony.
So I've said this on the show before, and I'm going to say it again. I think the integration is the most important part. So I do want to spend a little bit more, I guess, rather than getting into the nuance of the symbols you saw. I'd rather spend more of our time here talking about the aftermath. That being said, though, you had a really special experience. If anyone heard my episode of my experience, it was fucking tough. And I was like, oh, Kasey, just you wait till the hard bitch comes in and she shows you. And that's not how it was at all for you.
No, she was so nice to me. I was really worried because, of course I listened to Stephanie's and Mana's experience, and I've seen, other people's experiences, and I was listening to podcasts of people that did it, and I'm just like, oh boy, this is about to be brutal. And the first 2 ceremonies, the first one, I experienced it all.
I want to say real quick, this was your first ever psychedelic.
Yes. Yeah. I've never tripped to the point of hallucinating or visualizing or any of that stuff. So I didn't know what to expect. So my first ceremony, I had these really cool pants on. My purge started literally before I left America.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I'm going to the bathroom after drinking the ayahuasca. I didn't puke, but I was in the bathroom, and it's usually you puke and then the visuals will come on and all that stuff starts happening. And so I'm going to the bathroom, and all of a sudden the design on my pants starts sliding up my legs, and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. All I can compare it to is what I've seen on TV and stuff, but I was just like, holy fuck. How am I going to stand up and get back to my little bed? But there was a lady standing outside. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, no.
Yeah, you told me you were laughing hysterically at your pants.
She's just like, are you ready to go back? I was like, yes, please. I was just so happy. The happiness, my cheeks were sore. I've never experienced that sensation in my life. Had it all. Got to meet aliens, got some operations done. The first ceremony, my intention was healing generational karma, and holy shit, everything that I needed to. And I asked her, I was like, I asked ayahuasca, I was like, why aren't I crying? And she's like, you don't have to cry. You've done a lot of work. You don't have to cry. And I was just like, oh, nice. So we just had a grand old time. I was so happy. And all around me was pretty fucking wild. There's people screaming, there's people crying, there's people laughing, there's people groaning, moaning, just every noise you can possibly imagine.
Well, I do want to say, to kind of like to celebrate you, because I know you're not going to brag about this on the pod, but Kasey's somebody who really consistently faces herself, and you don't really, I mean, of course we all lie to ourselves to a certain degree, but you've always been so real and so honest with what's in your way, what's blocking you, what you want changed, or the things that don't align. And I really think in hindsight, and I mean, yeah, I am too, but obviously I needed some tough bitch love. And I think that is a testament to why your experience, well, because you were looking for self-love.
Right.
And how, like she said, this is what self-love is.
Right.
It's gentle, it's sweet. And I think your version of self-love was facing it, and she was showing you the other side of it.
Right.
So it's good to do hard work, but do not go to ayahuasca to be healed and to start your work. Start it before.
Oh, yeah.
If you want a good experience.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is that a lot of people that I was in there with, this was the beginning of their journey. And I was like, whoa. I'm very happy to have the knowledge that I have, the openness, the Stephanie as my, anchor back to, this earth. She was, holy shit. I don't know what I would have done without you. She wrote me this letter that I read before going into So one of the big things is I was like, I want to cry. I hadn't cried. A good cry was probably the last New Year's when Tooth. Yeah, so I didn't cry. And I didn't cry the first two ceremonies of ayahuasca, and the shaman was going around and they talk to you about the dosage, blah, blah, blah. My dosage went up, and I was like, well, I'd really like to cry. Every single person, I think, in the room was crying at some point. And I'm like, why can't I cry? I just needed to feel like that emotional release. Not that I wanted to be sad or anything. It's a purge. And so I wanted to feel that so bad. And he was like, okay, you'll cry tonight. And holy shit. I cried like a little baby the last ceremony. And what
got you crying?
Oh, just this love for Willie. I was just like, I love him so much. And I started bawling. And that set it off. I took it. I took a lot. I took almost a full cup. It is so hard to get down and keep down. And then I puked, and then I had visuals, and then as soon as the shaman started singing, I was laying on my side, and I just felt water dripping down my face, and I remember wiping it, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Oh my God, there's tears! I was like, yes! And then I just start like a little baby curled up in a ball, just like, and the my little ayahuasca mama, Kim, God, I love you. She was sitting next to me and she was so excited because I was finally crying. She like was petting my head and then I'd puke a little bit and keep crying. Every intention that I had, it was faced that day, and it was so fucking cool that it was like that, and new things were opened up. And then I had another plant ceremony scheduled for December, and it was really cool that I kind of knew what ayahuasca was going to take care of and then what to save for my next plant. It's like you're opening this door to all these answers and stuff, and I was just like, well, wait, I have so much more that I need to get through and blah 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 blah. And ayahuasca brought a lot of that stuff up. I dealt a lot with my mom's inner child, with my ancestors. Toward I think it was, yeah, my first ceremony was dealing with past generational karma. The second one was me, how I view myself, and like working through this idea of image that I have of myself and all that.
Can we dive a little deeper? I want to hear your other two intentions, but is it all right if we dive a little deeper into that?
Which
Do you
one?
feel comfortable, the body image?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that kind of like scraped the surface. Ayahuasca did this past, the one in December, is where I literally was throwing up this image that I have of my body. And so ayahuasca opened up all of these, it showed me so much that I needed to see. And I needed to realize that that's, you know, you blame one thing, but that's not it.
And what was the third ceremony's intention? Future?
Yeah, because I did the past, present, and then the future. Show me what do I need to do to get to who I want to be, who is my highest version of myself.
That's so cool. You got the answers.
Yeah.
And just to tell you all, that doesn't happen. That doesn't always happen. But right, so December's ceremony, so ayahuasca opened the door, answered the questions.
Yeah.
And it was like the second ceremony almost pushed you into more of that feeling of what you were seeking.
Right. Yeah. We did a purge, and it was like, what am I purging? And it was literally images that I have of myself I was puking it up and getting rid of it. And
For those who are curious, it was combo that we did.
Yeah. Just letting go of that and then tapping into my feminine side. So I tend to lean a little masculine. Did I say that correctly?
I don't know. You got big dick energy, though.
But like giving in a lot of ways.
And I think some people, they would hear that and be like, well, what do you mean? That's so feminine to give. But no, it's not. But also, you know, you're very almost like you use your body to be strong, to do your hunting and all of that. But it was like you didn't use your body for pleasure or just look in the mirror and think, oh, I'm hot, or even just I love you.
Right.
So that's kind of what it had you stepping into.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, and it wasn't until recently where like I had my visor down or something and opened up the mirror and I see my eyes and I'm like, oh my God, you have beautiful eyes. And then I'm like, oh my God, I've never said that to myself. And it was just like, holy shit, the medicine's working. But yeah, big shifts and all of that have happened. But the other thing, the big thing that I felt in ayahuasca was, and this sounds so basic saying it, but I just can't explain the feeling of love that I actually felt, and just nothing fucking matters. Nothing matters. All these things that we get so caught up in, and just what we think about others and what we think others think of us. The mirrors, of course, came back. And it was also really interesting hearing everybody else's thing, because you're all in that group for a reason. Every single person in there was put in my ayahuasca ceremony as some sort of mirror of myself. And it's, you know, no matter who was talking about their experience, you've always related to it. And that's not, like I've said on the last one, it's not a coincidence. That's what you need to hear. That's what you need to see.
When she says the last one, she means the last podcast we did together, with the whispers of dream voyance and sisterhood, which is a really fun one. Yeah. And it's fun to hear. I can't wait to listen to that one and then listen to this one and just feel feel the change that's happened
know.
for you. So
I feel like little babies.
I have a couple of flash questions for you. So the first one is, what are a handful of things that you did before ayahuasca that helped you prepare?
You did a healing on me.
That's true.
We
did golden needle together.
You did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You taught me acupuncture. Listened to that's like a hit or miss kind of thing. I listened to Aubrey Marcus and Luke Story's podcasts and their experiences on ayahuasca, and that's only because I've listened to them and because of a lot of other aspects in life, and I just agree and I resonate with a lot of the things that they say. I wouldn't go and like look up people's experiences because it's not gonna,
right, like keep it limited,
like don't compare yourself, like don't
give yourself an idea of what it is.
But I just like felt like they're my friends, so it's like I felt like I was just having a conversation with them, and it got me really, really, really excited.
Well, there is value in here. I mean, this is what you're doing right now. You're
sharing
your experience.
Don't listen to her.
Yeah. But it's more like, don't listen to what they're experiencing and be like, oh yeah, that's what it's gonna be like for me, because you have no I mean, like in just in the beginning when because Kasey can be stubborn, and the medicine that she brings to others is hard bitch energy, and I'm gentle with my ways. So, and of course I get met with Aya as that hard bitch energy. So I was like, oh yeah, if she was hard on me, she's going to be on you. So we expected that, but that's not what it was at all. So yeah, don't listen and think that this is what it's going to be. It's just hearing what's possible.
Yeah.
If there was something that you could have done to help you better prepare, if you felt that way, what would it have been?
I honestly wouldn't change, or I can't think of a single thing. Maybe it was the expectation from friends. That was one thing. So you go to this beautiful place of just absolute bliss, of absolute acceptance, absolute love, and then to come back down to earth, it's hard, and that's where integration is a huge thing. So on top of leaving the most beautiful trip of my life, I wouldn't, it was up there. But there was like a depression, not a depression, but just like a sadness and like a longing for that again, and just like having to go back to reality and having to be around people that are still just so unaware, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's hard, and especially like fresh out of ayahuasca, it was difficult, and like people asked about it, and then they'd try comparing it to whatever edible experience they had, and I just would kind of stand there and be like, my humans, like, don't fucking compare my experience to your bad edible trip. Like, it doesn't fucking compare. And it's just like, I don't know, it was coming back to reality, all the little tests, but then just being able to give them love, and just, I don't know, love and accepting that, they don't know. And I don't know, that was kind of bitchy, but
no, it was honest.
Yeah.
That
was just like the hardest part, was like being a little short-tempered coming back, and just like expecting everybody to get it, and that not.
Yeah. And it's almost like you're looking around expecting your whole world to change because you've changed.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, like hearing you say that, I'm not going to get into it a lot because it's just not the thing to talk about right now. Yeah, but we did a psychedelic at some point in 2022 that was a huge fucking game changer for me. And I entered this space where I felt complete love and acceptance. So much radical, liberating acceptance. Just being and losing all of my ego and all my human in the best way possible. Like, there was no death. It was just she took a step back, and she giggled while she watched me have that full expression. And then it's done. And then you go home and you're like, oh, it's not like that here.
Yeah. So integrating back from ayahuasca, walk in the park, fucking smile from ear to ear, walking with extra pep in my step, waving to everybody, talking to everybody, being able to attract really nice people in the grocery store, whatever. The one we did earlier this year, holy moly. That, I understood what integration meant. Whooped my ass. Good God.
So he's saying that right now. I just want to vent really quick. You know what really sucked is when people were like, just stay strong, just stay strong. I'm like,
okay.
Fucking.
Yep.
When I'm going to go and throw myself onto I-4, like, of course I'm going to stay strong. But I think what people forget when they see you suffering is that suffering is a part of the healing, and it's just hard. That's all you need. That's all you need is somebody to put their arm and say, wow, that's hard. And that's it. It's done.
Yeah, integration from that was fucking difficult. The one night Stephanie had like plans, I couldn't get a hold of her. Full blown breakdown, sobbing. Oh my! There was this one song she played as we were you're on the come up of it, and literally every single time I heard it, just bawling, crying, and it wasn't. It's just weird. It just triggered this missing, like the feeling of missing something.
It's home. It's like where we've come from, where we return, and it's here, but it's not here.
Right. It'll be.
And I guess that's why we're here.
I know, and this earth is so beautiful. Oh, before doing ayahuasca, we sat with Hape, and I was, asking, what do I need to know for this trip, blah, blah, blah. And he told me, we are here to experience Earth. This is a beautiful, beautiful planet we are on, and enjoy it. He also told me that the universal language is a smile. And that's how I got through Peru.
You got the biggest smile. All that being said, so within a few months, you did these big love medicines, hard work medicines, and you're in the integration phase. And what are a handful of things that have helped you?
There's tests, baby.
Oh, yeah.
You get some fucking tests thrown at you. Exes come up, past things with...
They come up all at once.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bang, bang, bang. And you have to, stand your ground and don't bang, bang. It literally is insane how that works. And just, don't forget what you just went through. The other thing is make sure that you are able to have somebody that you can... I mean, me and Stephanie are we were sitting around for a while just like big-eyed, blinking, like, what the fuck? What the fuck do we do now? And why do we feel like this? And the crying. So I am so thankful that I had her, because I literally have no idea what place I could have got myself into without...
Same, dude.
Oh my God. If somebody couldn't relate to what I felt, you can't explain it. So having somebody that I know is my person that did it with me, that was a game changer. What else? Get a new routine, the journaling, the moving, the whatever lessons came to you. And the one thing that we did that I loved was we talked about what we want to hold each other accountable for. And it is really nice having somebody, if you do something and they kind of could look at you like, really? Like...
Well, that's actually what you were about to articulate. That's what I was... When the test... You learn these things, and then the tests come in real life. And it's like, all right, you can either be just another person who is like, I'm going to go trip in Peru, and you see shit, and then you stay the same, and you still kind of suck. Mm-hmm. Or, which I think is the most important piece of integration, is doing the thing, making the change that based off of that lesson, and having someone there ideally, if you don't have the best discipline, having someone there to hold you accountable.
Right.
Because then you're just another asshole.
Yeah.
And actually, one thing I do want to say is these medicines, they're not necessarily for everyone. And I give that caveat with every plant medicine episode that we do. It's really up to you to use your discernment to figure out if this is the right one for you. But something that I've learned over the past year is it's really not the thing to do as your introduction to spirituality. Like what Kasey mentioned earlier, she was really glad that she had done the healings. You had all this context and all this knowledge about your line, your ancestral line, and yourself to have home waiting for you. Because that's a lot to put yourself through, and then to come home and then have to learn what it means to be a fucking starseed and to choose to be here and ancestral epigenetic healing. That's a lot to put on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely so thankful for all the reading I did. I read a bunch of really good books. If anybody cares, you could reach out to me and we could dive into that.
Yeah, we got the Indian Codex, and then the Shaman,
the
and
Shaman
Ayahuasca.
and Ayahuasca was.
Yeah,
I want to read that again.
Yeah, I'm gonna include links in the show notes to the last podcast Kasey and I did, my ayahuasca one, these books that we're mentioning. I think that's the only thing we made references to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any last parting things you want to share?
2022. Thank you.
Thank you. And for any girl especially, just because, I don't know, I feel like we're raised to fear. For any girl out there who wants to do a solo trip, whether it's plant medicine or not, what would you like to say to her?
Fucking do it.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Peru, I felt so safe. Everybody was so helpful. The nicest, most loving people. And I'm so thankful for every single person that helped me, which was a lot of people because I looked very confused at all times. And, such a special place. But do it. Who cares if somebody doesn't want to go with you? Just go fucking do it. There's so many groups out there that are all solo travelers that you can meet up with. Yes, be careful. It's a lot of shitty people out there. It's dangerous, but don't let fear like that stop you from doing something like that. Like that was the best experience of my life, and I do plan on having a solo trip once a year for the rest of my life, no matter what. Even if I do have a boyfriend, if it's just, I think, such a good build of character. It's just it will change you.
All right, on that note, everyone, happy 2022 to you, to me, to all of you, even though this is going to be out after that. And 2023, we will see you very soon.